Earlier this year, an American admiral warned China could invade Taiwan before the end of 2024. That's right, 18 months from now. US President Joe Biden has declared frequently that the United States will defend Taiwan. To put it simply, if that occurs, it will be war. Australia, as an ally of the United States and part of two powerful security alliances that include the US, would be expected to get involved. And rightly so. We can't take the benefits of an alliance but not contribute when it doesn't suit. So given the very real threat that we could find ourselves engaged in some form of conflict as soon as next year, the ability to defend ourselves as a nation has never been more crucial. And, alliances aside, the stronger we are individually, the better. It's obvious. So given this ominous threat, let's look at our Defence Force. Not as an organisation, but as a group of people. They're human beings. In this month's budget, the government announced a number of initiatives to try to retain personnel, rightly recognising that you can own all the nuclear submarines in the world, but if there's no one driving them, they're useless. Major enlistment initiatives announced as well. Great. The more people willing to step up and defend our nation, the better. Presumably, we are doing everything in our power to promote to potential recruits a noble and rewarding career, given the obvious elements of danger that exists. That Australia's ADF looks after its people, systematically and exhaustively during and after service, right? Not quite. Instead, before a single conviction is recorded, the Chief of the Defence Force is again this week sending letters to Special Forces commanders, telling them to prepare to have their medals and honours stripped. Before anyone has had allegations against them proven, the damaging headlines re-emerge regarding our men and women in uniform. 12,000 ADF personnel served in Afghanistan. They all have family and friends. And let's be honest, it doesn't just hurt those who served there, it hurts every single veteran. On my show here, you've seen plenty of times, and privately as well, I've questioned a lot of them. And their responses identify the shame they feel, the distress, the loss of pride in what they did for our country, and the way they feel the public now regards them. Reputation and integrity are the base from which these units launch. We are the nation we are today because of the calibre of the personnel and units of those forces who have served on our behalf here and all over the world, doing the kind of things that most of us wouldn't dream of, nor have the guts for. Not one person I've asked has been accused personally of any misconduct, but all are affected by the gross mishandling of this sad debacle. We universally agree that anyone who has broken laws or committed war crimes must be held to account, of course. Illegal acts and misbehaviour of any type are reprehensible and contrary to the conduct of the vast majority of our men and women in uniform. But the presumption of innocence must be upheld. Let me tell you, the absolutely appalling, clumsy, calamitous handling of this entire situation is the only proven crime so far. We must institute a legal process and then allow it to run its course. The Australian SAS Association accuses CDF of mishandling the yet-to-be-proven war crime allegations from the outset and alleged that he has, in the view of many veterans, created an inference of guilt against those involved before the defendant's account of events has even been heard. Why would anyone join our military in the current climate? Would you? There's no greater honour than serving your nation and the giving of one's life to protect the rest of us. In my mind, that is, that's just not up for debate. Imagine then having a fiasco like this waiting down the track for those lucky enough to actually make it home. Yes, they die over there. Treating them with complete disdain as they concurrently endure the rigours of other treatment they may need, and we know all about this, for physical, psychological and emotional injuries. I thought we'd come a long way since Vietnam. Maybe not. This has been a tragic, bungled and regrettable, that's not a strong enough word, but regrettable incident in our proud military history. The allegations themselves, absolutely, but just as bad the way it's been handled. Now, there are complexities and challenges for all involved, and some of the parties whose roles have been criticised, including the CDF, may well have been beholden to requirements and constraints we are not at liberty to know. I know that. But what we do know is, amidst calls for the Chief of Defence Force himself to return his own medal, is that Para 35 of the Brereton report states that, well, essentially those at the very top shouldn't have to. Why? Well, it says Joint Task Force 633 was not positioned organisationally or geographically to influence and control Special Operations Task Group operations. Its national command function did not include operational command. Without operational command, Joint Task Force 633 did not have the degree of command and control over Special Operations Task Group on which the principle of command responsibility depends. Now, stay with me. I know there's a fair few. It's a bit wordy. Did not have the degree of command and control which the principle of command responsibility depends. So if I understand this, and maybe I don't, but I think I do. If those right at the top were too far removed to be held responsible for any alleged crimes, then how were they involved enough to receive medals for merit? How can you have it both ways? The simple answer is you can't. For the sake of our phenomenal servicemen and women caught up in this mess, and for the sake of every Australian who relishes the integrity of our institutions and processes, there must be a proper, transparent and robust legal proceeding before one further step is taken along this sorry path. Every highly valued soldier, sailor and airman and woman, from the very top to the very bottom, deserves no less.